Who usually does the intros? Oh,
We've already cracked the monsters one time.
yeah. Who does the intros? Oh,
Al was our intro man, but now we all.
Warren, you have to do it.
No, you in the seat, Chana.
I'm officially.
You in the official intro seat.
Yeah, you're in the
No
host
way.
chair, bro.
No, but you line up in belt order.
so
So technically,
Jamie starting us off here.
Yeah, so
Well,
Jamie's got to
welcome
hit us
to
with the
the
intro.
podcast. What is it called?
That's a very good question.
That's a great start.
I think we need a new banner though.
What
For
is
the
it called,
Jiu-Jitsu
to be
program.
completely honest?
Well, it's the MMA Republic Jiu Jitsu
Podcast. Sweet.
The BJJ roundtable.
The MMA
Yeah,
R BJJ podcast.
100%.
Sounds good.
100%.
Jamie, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, man.
Yeah.
First
welcome.
guest.
Thank you. Ah, awesome.
Rourke's like, we should get a guest on. So I was like, cool, who do you suggest? He's like, Jamie. I was like, cool, let's do it.
Yeah,
Sweet. I'm in.
that didn't take.
You
much
must have left an
convincing.
impression on him at least.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I try. You know.
He was one of my wrestling partners when we used to do.
Wrestling at a Gracie bar. I
No,
don't
what was his
believe you.
name? He used to
I don't
Richard
believe you.
Adenal.
Richard Adenal, yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
he
that
used
was
to
a beast back in the day.
bend us.
I
My
rolled
word.
that guy to Fila National one
Yeah,
time.
do you remember those comps?
Yo, and I just remember everyone coming to me, like Lance Kerr and all them were coming to me like, oh, that's Richard. You know,
Yeah.
like, so I was like, okay. So as he hit the double, put me down, I held on for guard and I just swung for the fastest armbar I could ever go for, bro. Bah! I was like, I survived. But yeah, that looks a savage, bro. That looks a proper savage.
I remember Storm used to do it as well, and then he used to do that warm up where he used to flip off his head. He's like, "Okay, guys, now you do it."
Yeah. Everyone's like, fuck, I don't want to break my neck.
Yeah, I'll give that one a skip.
I've been doing this for a few years, and we've only ever learned to go over our shoulders. Now you want me to flip off my head?
Yeah. I've just mastered the break fall in Jiu Jitsu.
Oh,
Not
man.
ready for this wrestling stuff.
You had quite a sweet year last year.
Yeah, man, it was a big, my best competitive year since I started training. Also, thankfully, kept relatively injury free. The year before, I had a bad shoulder injury, so that kept me off the mats for 6 months. And then it started at trials last year in Cape Town. I always end up fighting Elliot and Fadi from Angola. And came out with the Hail Mary against Elliot in the semis. I think it was 8-6 up or 8-2 up, and then.
And with
last
those
15
Angolans, the moment they
seconds-
get up on points, it's like
Yeah, dude.
it's
Last
an uphill
15
battle.
seconds, past his guard, took his back, and he was trying to run out, and I pulled him back in, and I got him, and then Fadi beat me in the final. But either way, that was fine. And then, but Nogi was power last year. Did the ADCC.
Yeah, I watched that. That was the first
Um,
time I got to see you do Nagi.
And managed to get a clean sweep there with all submissions. And then, yeah, the end of last year was quite hectic. Three Sundays in December, three comps. First with the UAE, which was a bit of a bummer. Obviously Martino, myself, Alan, and what's his name, Johan Oosthuizen from Chris Bright was in. But I thought there would have been quite a few more. Our guys didn't step up and compete as many of them as I would have liked. But that was still good fun. It's nice. Also, I mean, we all smaller dudes, so you go against a dude like Johan who's 102 and black belt and just
Oh.
ties you a knot.
He's he is highly skilled,
Yeah.
phenomenal jiu-jitsu player,
Incredible.
and then just an absolute physical savage.
Yeah.
Him and Walter had the most ridiculous
Yeah.
match. It was when you get two great forces and then go together, just stale.
And I mean, Walter's number one in Africa,
Yeah.
the best black belt in Africa. So for Johan to hang with him at that level was really, really impressive.
Walter had that
It's 50-50 lapel guard type.
yeah,
of
he
thing.
was playing that lapel guard and just basically got up on points and then
Yeah,
stayed there.
two, and then advantages, I think.
Yeah.
And then obviously Submission Quest, which was awesome to have you in that as well. Chris Wilson, I hope you're watching, boy.
Yes, he's salty, bro.
Yeah.
He's so salty.
You will get your rematch. I believe you have to qualify throughout the whole year, and then you can rematch in December. So I'll be ready. The belt's sitting on my cupboard, overlooking me. So whenever you're ready, son.
You are
Well,
firing.
yeah, I know you're ready.
You are firing that dude up.
No,
Big time.
Bro, I was getting smack messages at like 6 in the morning on like a Tuesday. I'd be like, I hope you're ready. I'm coming for you. Like, bro, I'm ready. I'll be there.
Oh man.
And then yeah, that was awesome. Shane Carr and those guys really did a cool job there, and it was quite cool to have that type of competition. Like, I think
Yeah.
you know, we're all big grappling nuts and geeks, and I think to have you know, those type of comps where guys can you know, it's invite only, and you know, I hope that will get more guys into grappling. And the effort they put in the belt was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I only found out the other day I actually won some prize money. I won $500 from that.
Oh, nice.
nice.
So like, you know,
Good
I think
start.
yeah, it's slowly.
you know,
it's
like-
not quite Gordon Ryan, but I'm getting it.
What I was trying to say to guys, there were a couple of guys that were bitching about it, and they're like, yeah, but you know, they gave a belt and there wasn't really much to it. I was like, but we all have to start somewhere, you
Yeah.
know, like someone had to step up and be like, okay, it's an invitational, there's a little bit of money, here's a belt, like get it going. You have to run the first couple of events, funding it yourself, then hopefully
100%.
sponsors come on board and then money gets rolled into it. So like people must just keep supporting, keep
And-
coming out.
And I think and that touches on something I want to discuss as well. Is like in the jiu-jitsu community here, like we're still very cliquey
Yeah,
and
100%.
isolated, you know. I mean, after Submission Quest, I was in that Angolan pro card, and Angola's got a huge jiu-jitsu scene.
Yeah.
And Fuddy and Walter really put on one hell of a show there. And just two guys, you know, they're from the Gracie Barra there, but there were about guys from, I think, 4 of the big gyms there competing. Everyone supporting everyone, and like
Yeah.
all coming together. And you see it when they come here for trials. Like, even if it's Z1 and Gracie Barra, Angola, you know, they'll support their own teams. But if one of their guys goes up against a South African,
Yeah.
they're all for him.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
And I think that's something that like we're missing here. And you know, like I heard some of those the negative comments about the Submission Quest thing, and it's like, okay, dudes, who else was going to do something? These are
Exactly.
taking it on their own accord. They've done something that no one else was doing.
Yeah.
And you know, some guys, they're just copying what's going on overseas. Well, that's the blueprint that works. Like,
But
what do you
is
want
it-
them to do?
Isn't that the cycle of everything in life? You know, like someone comes up with something great, people copy it, then someone else comes and pushes the boundary, then everyone copies that, and that's how you
100%.
keep going. I mean, the fact that they did something was the start. You know, since SABJJF collapsed or whatever version acronym they had at the end of it, there's been nothing really.
Just
Like
wanna-
you've got
Just
UAE.
want to make a footnote there that the last time me and Jamie were on a podcast, that was the end of SABJ.
Hopefully, this is the Phoenix rising from the ashes.
yeah. Hopefully we can reinstate the love today. That's our main focus here.
But you're 100% right, man. Like, I mean, think of the first the first like super fight jiu-jitsu comp, Metamoris. Like that was the like, I think it was Galvao. No, it was Bushesha and Roger was the first
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
and Kron and Otavio Souza. Like, I mean, that was the first thing that came out, and then there was EBI. EBI is dead now.
And just to note that Metamoris was a complete fuck up,
Oh.
like business model wise.
Horrifically.
What's his name? Halleck Gracie
Yeah.
left the
GMG.
biggest trail of debt. Like people don't realize that he left hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
of debt around, and he had to start fighting, go back to fighting to try and pay it
Yeah.
off, right? So like, he had to put a stake in the ground, and everyone had to see, okay, that's how you kind of do it, but you don't do it that way, and like develop the actual blueprint of how to run these events.
100%. And now you get a fight to win, which is happening. Like, they got like 100 shows a year
Yeah.
or something ridiculous.
Bro,
and they're
they're on-
paying their athletes big, man.
They're on like a fight event 138, I think.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And then they're running that Who's Number One event.
Yes,
they
that
ran
was also really
ADCC. Like, there's definitely money in it. I mean,
But
you
to
see-
say like about the Submission Quest guys, to say, oh, they're just copying, like, yeah, bro, but that's what works.
It's okay.
You know, it's fine. Also,
what's wrong with that?
there's no one else. It's not like someone else had a plan
Yeah.
or you had a plan and they came and copied it.
Yeah.
Like, shit, man, give the Oaks a break. It was a good day out. It had quite a good turnout. I think you enjoyed it.
No,
I
I
mean,
got staph and a pinched meniscus, but it was good.
Yeah,
He flew his knee out and got staff. Hasn't rolled since.
did you get stuff?
On the same day, bro, on the same knee. Check that.
No ways.
So I bust my knee, right? I'm depressed. Go to the doctor. He tells me what I've got. Go to NISA. Like 3 weeks into being injured, I'm like, I'm starting to feel this thing. Maybe I can do some drills. Get there, and there's this thing on my leg that's sore. I was like, oh, it doesn't feel so lucky. So I wake up the one morning, I'm like, I'm going to squeeze this thing as hard as I can.
Oh, no.
If nothing happens, I'm going straight to the doctor. So after holding my leg and like trying
Was
to
it
hold
No,
back
first he comes to me, he goes, I think with the spider bite shot, look, that's definitely staph.
Oh,
That's it.
no.
But obviously, I'm shitting with him. I'm not a doctor.
You're being a mate.
Yeah. I'm not
It's
a
just a
doctor.
prank, bro. It's just a prank.
But then, like, the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm like, that does look like quite a bit like staph. And like, the problem is like he doesn't know it's that we've never been in gyms that have had staph.
yeah.
Well, I walked in, the doctor was like, I didn't even get a chance to sit down. He's like, that's staph. So I was like,
Seriously.
oh, like, awesome. So yeah, staph infection.
The nice thing though is you're in a small town, so medicine and doctors' visits were cheaper there. Because if you went in Joburg, they would have raped you probably.
It was
Dude,
still
that's
rough.
crazy. So and now?
Well, so yeah, this I'm still. My last doctor said I'm just in a bad patch.
You're just plateauing at the moment.
She gave him a pat on the
Was,
back
was,
and a
that
sucker.
was that a GP or a psychiatrist,
Yeah.
boy?
I need both. So bust my knee, get staph. The doctor puts me on vicious antibiotics. Right. Get back to Joburg. Finally get the green light, start rolling. 1 week in, I get this like thing on my face. You can see it here. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, so I go to the doctor. It's like, okay, no, it's not staph, but your immune system's weak from having staph.
Oh god.
So now you got this like breakout thing on your face. And there was another 2 weeks of not rolling. Oh, sorry, another 2 weeks of not rolling.
Wow, that was unpleasant.
Yes, yes.
No,
Apologize to my eardrums.
Shit, dude. Yeah, well, things can only get better, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully.
Bad things come in threes. But that's crazy that.
Yeah, on the so Shannon, just check
You got
yourself.
staph. You got staph on his jiu-jitsu tattoo. That's,
Appropriate.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it says frothing below.
I was sore.
I was telling you about Calvin earlier. I was asking him if you know him. There's well, fuck, he didn't have the tragedies that young Rourke had over
Yeah.
there. But he tattooed jiu-jitsu across his
Oh
fingers
god.
and then started rolling the next day. And he was
Calvin
like,
Woodley.
oh, yeah. He's like, oh, dude, my tattoos. I'm like, dude, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know, you kind of go
On
like,
your hands.
yeah, you're like gripping Oak's collars
Playing
and
Spider
shit.
Guard and.
You check that
Gonna
guy.
get a bit funky, bro.
He's tattooed, like, he's even got a face tattoo. It says resilience on his eyebrow. Like, tattooed to the nines, like, everywhere.
Chopped up
And you
to
think
the
this
neck.
oak's going to be, like, hardcore. And you've never met a friendlier guy in your life.
That's what
He's,
happened.
like, so soft.
Yeah.
He's so chill. He's such a sweet dude. And like, but like the first day you see him, like, "Urgh."
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like
Definitely
he's
gonna
straight
be-
from Polsmore Jiu-Jitsu Academy.
yeah, 100%.
So there were talks about doing a super fight between the under 75 and over 75 submission
Yeah, I
force
wanted to
champs.
do that. I said to Shane and them, I was like, bro, if I win that fight, that 75 one, let me go against the Oku in the big one. And then on the day, they were like, nah, we'll hold it back. But I understand. I mean, listen, it's Stain de Lange. I hedge my bets against anyone, so it would have been fun. But I know that probably would have been really difficult.
He just won something now. He won the
The
African champion.
Cadet champion.
Yeah,
that
wrestling.
dude is and one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of that kid. Like
I'm
I
a
love
little bit
watching.
concerned as what's going to happen to the rest of his ears as he goes along because he's
God.
like
He's got
17.
gnarly
Bro.
ears, eh?
They're gonna cauliflower eventually and just fall off, and you'll have holes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like Leslie Smith when she got that her cauliflower punched open.
Oh.
in one,
Oh
in
yeah,
her one
in that-
fight.
yeah. Oh.
No, thank you.
But I think that, like, I mean, the guys doing the alpha grappling comps, is that you?
No.
I don't, whoever you guys are, sorry, but you're doing a good job. It's it's. I wish there was more gi
Oh,
stuff
that's
coming along.
Dwayne Meredith and those guys, right? Because it's part of
Yeah.
Alpha
It's,
MMA.
It's sick that they got so many. They just need to improve the reffing. My
Yeah,
goodness.
and well, Zero Jitsu did that comp on, when was it? A couple of weeks ago. The development comp for the blue
That
belts
was
and the
awesome.
white belts. That was really good, and they used it as a base to start like getting the reffing better. Although there were some atrocious calls there, but
No, never mind.
I was overseas when it happened. I just saw your video with
Mando.
Manny.
Yes, yeah, I just got messages because I posted that story of you guys. And I was like, who won that fight? I was like, no. I gather that they agreed before to.
That's terrible.
Oh.
Watch out.
No, that's after.
Oh.
Hey, nah.
It's nothing like a burst collie, eh?
Yeah, Oaks were amped for that fight with Manny, but we both agreed that like let's flow, and I'd love to go at it with him properly, and I think we're gonna do something. I know the Zero Jitsu guys are quite keen to.
So why was it a flow thing? We just
Bro, it was
just chill-
we
chill
just said
bumps.
like, you know what, we wanted to show the guys flowing jiu-jitsu. Otherwise you get there, one of us holds guard for 5 minutes and no
Oh,
one
yeah.
sees anything, you know what I mean?
I think if you put that fight together, it's got to be like sub only.
Yeah,
Make it as exciting
Exciting.
as possible.
you know, and I know he'd just gotten back from his travels, and I was still recovering from December, so I'm quite happy that it was what it was. But I definitely like to run it back like properly with him. I'm at the stage now where like I don't really care win or lose. I just want to fight as many Oaks as possible. I reckon I got 2 good years of competition left in me,
nice.
injury free. Touch all the wood in here. And like, you know, I think it's our job as higher belts, and not necessarily we all have to, but if you got it in you and you want to do it, like, you know, I think a lot of guys hid behind their belts for a long time, and this, you know, that old school thinking of like, I don't want to be outshone by a blue belt or a purple belt or a lesser brown belt or even a black belt, you know what I mean? And it's like, fuck, no one really cares. It's and all the Oaks making noise are all the Oaks that don't do anything.
No, 100%.
You know?
I was trying to explain to someone the other day. We were just chatting about belts in general, and I was just saying to them that like competitive blue belts now, there's a good chance that a competitive blue belt will tap a regular purple belt and a regular brown belt that doesn't compete, because you look at someone like Nicky Rod who's just flying through everyone, right? You look at someone like Tannen Dalper who tapped Bill Cooper when Tannen was still a blue belt, right? Tannen was a blue belt and tapped a guy that's won the world championships. Like, belts, like, it's just like, it's more like a guideline at this stage at a competitive level, because like those guys can match up with a lot of black belts.
Oh,
you know?
easy.
But yeah, I think like the biggest problem is
Obviously, they're all clean athletes as well.
Well, I mean, can we have a whole show dedicated to that topic? Old Kainan Duarte.
Jeez, like it.
Jesus and acai. That's the key.
When we're in California now, we're trying to like arrange to go down to San Diego.
That should be a hashtag, bro.
You heard it here first. Hashtag Jesus and acai.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
Now you just need to show that Christ the Redeemer statue, and then you got it.
That's
Oh,
class.
man. But like when we decided to go to it, we like just realized that we just going. It's like juice capital of jiu-jitsu, and like it's the biggest Oaks in jiu-jitsu. Like we're just gonna be absolutely manhandled there. I was like, they were keen, and I was like, I wasn't too keen on like going to go there. You know, like you catch like one of those like a fucking Lucas Barboza or a, they're just gonna crush you and just snap you in half.
Yeah.
Like, and what I did notice in California is they try and make like a point out of their guys coming to beat you.
Yeah.
So I was fine with that everywhere except going to Atos headquarters and having that happen, bro.
Bro, you saying that Andre Galvao used steroids?
All of them, bro. He
Don't
doesn't
you-
even have a neck
don't you
anymore.
Can you
dare,
find that?
bro.
He
He
doesn't
doesn't
even
even have
have
a neck
posted
anymore.
It. I think Don posted it.
The vet posted it with the touch.
Yeah, wait, no,
Yeah.
it says. Hold on.
This is the moment when Kainan Duarte. But there was even an interview at I was fortunate enough to go to ADCC last year, and there was an interview with what's his name, Braulio Estima, and obviously Braulio got popped for roids back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he fought Galvao when he was off roids. And he said that when he touched him, he was like, I know I can't win this, because he could just feel the power in the dude.
Yeah, bro.
So,
the
listen, man,
problem.
the Oaks are on it. Like, think about it. We all train pretty hard. I've just come from a 2.5 hour session, and I'm a 9 to 5. Like, you know, if I can get 4 or 5 sessions in a week, I'm quite happy. To train at this level, like, you know, we were at AOJ, Aiden from my gym and we did the hour-and-a-half class there, and then the Oaks drill for an hour-and-a-half, and then they get their water and acai, and then they go and do it again. Like, it's
madness, bro.
tough. It's not a
So
joke.
the question is, how much acai have you had today?
Today, none.
See, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, not drilling.
J-Man, I think we need to just get past the wild elephant in the room here. Did that mustache start before or after you started kicking ass last year?
No, it started. the beard started last year, and then the beard disappeared, and then now I've got a mustache. I don't have to answer to anyone. So, hence why if this goes viral, holler at me for Valentine's. But
just hit your Tinder profile details there quickly.
Everything's gonna. Can I do that while I'm online here?
J Mun Sheriff.
Yeah, Sheriff Captain Mustache. Nah, bro. Just figured why not, eh? Just
if not, why not?
If
That's
not,
what I
we're
always
men.
say.
We can grow a beard. We can do what we please.
100%.
Respect.
If you
Everyone
can
hates
if
it,
you
but-
can grapple other sweaty men, then you can grow a mustache, bro. It's easy.
At least I can back it up. I'm not one of those ironic hipsters. With, eventually I'll get.
But
it
you do have
twisted.
almond
I
milk in your
doubt
cappuccino.
anyone
Bro,
ever
who
went up
did?
to like Dan Seven and was like, "Why are you growing a mustache?" Like you do whatever
Whatever
you want to do.
Yeah, you could
You do
go-
whatever. Him, Dan Henderson, like that whole crew, like they can just.
Yeah,
They
you-
men. They
whatever
can
you
do
want,
whatever they
sir.
want to do.
Pink dress, by all means. You do you.
So how was the whole trip for ADCC?
Oh, it was madness, dude. It was Aiden and I from my gym, and we went. We started off at Homelo's in Northridge, which was incredible. I mean, we were watching Felipe Pena prepare for Galvao. There was Servio Tulio, Jessica Flowers, who manhandled the hell out of me. We didn't even know she was in ADCC, and then she was the only like competitor that took a liking to smashing us, or me particularly. But I mean, Edwin Najmi was there. Like it was really
that's
really
awesome.
incredible. And then we went to AOJ for a week, which was also.
How was
I
that?
mean, it's a cult. So it's
That's what did I tell you?
Dude.
It's 100% like cultish there.
you go in there. You can't wear
Did they
any
make
other
you shave?
gear. Well, luckily I was clean shaven, but they probably would have. But I'll
No,
tell
they
you a
do.
ridiculous
You're not allowed
story.
to- when they went there, like because we were at the Ruka gym and they were like just telling us like kind of like what the rules are about going there. And they're like, yeah, you're probably gonna have to shave. You're
Bro,
probably
they-
gonna need to get a haircut.
No,
Am I going back to school?
we were doing the no-gi class there, and I had a pair of plain black Adidas spats on, and you couldn't even tell that they were Adidas. The Adidas sign was like that dark gray on
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
So like you couldn't, unless you were looking for it, you couldn't tell it. So we're doing the class, and the instructor, what's his name, Nick, comes to me and goes, so, hey man, do you mind
Nick the
going?
Tooth?
No, another dude. Do you mind going to go and put on AOJ spats? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, no, those aren't AOJ spats. So I had to go pay $10 to get out of my own spats
Oh,
to put a pair of AOJ spats on. And I was like, just out of interest, like, why? And they're like, no, because you could stay in the mats. And I was like, dude, this is the same. I swear to God, Aiden was like, bro, this is, I mean, he loved it, but it was crazy, dude. I mean, to rent geese, we were there for 4.5 days, and we were like, look, can we just pay for 4.5 sessions? Because we can't make the rest of the sessions.
That's
No.
like $200,
Bro,
Down
it was
$50 a day.
ridiculous. It was-
$50 a day, like day pass to be there,
It was silly.
and then each item of clothing is a rental.
Yeah, gi rent, rash guard rent, and you have to wear their stuff.
And you don't exactly want to buy it. The AOJ
Isn't just I just
gear
wanna-
is like $250.
Isn't Gracie Barhart
210.
trying to implement the same thing?
Gracie Bar is also a cult. I'll be the first to say. In fact, everyone knows it's a cult, bro. I mean, no, but like, I understand it, and I mean, you go to Kron's gym and you can't even wear your own belt. They give you a belt if you go to Kron Gracie's gym. Like you're a brown belt,
Yeah.
you'd be given. It's like a brown belt with a white stripe or a white thing on it, because he doesn't want anyone to confuse you with one of his belts. So some of these gyms do get crazy. You
Hectic, bro.
get like a Renzo's where you can wear no rash guard. And
But then you
whatever.
go to the other end of the spectrum and you go to 10 Planet.
Yeah,
and
and
it's
then
like,
it's just-
that's a fuck show of note,
free
right?
for all.
You walk in and it just smells like weed everywhere, bro.
I'd expect
Everywhere.
nothing less.
So like Don and myself walk in, we go to the counter, we start talking to this chick who's the receptionist. She's like, we're like, yo, you're from South Africa. She's like, so am I. So I was like, oh, what? So she says, okay guys, you've signed all this. Do you know the warm-ups for today? But like Don can be like quite, he's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you letting drop-ins come in here if we must know warm-ups and all this bullshit? So we get onto the mat, everything's like so demo car, bro. Oaks are just fucking lying everywhere, talking shit. Eddie kind of like comes on, kind of like gets the guys together. He starts the class, not even on the fucking mat. He's doing something in the office and like, But then, like, he obviously heard that Don was bitching about the warm-ups. So he comes up, and there's, like, mats of, like, 40 people. He's like, guys, and he's, like, looking at Don and myself. This isn't the type of session to drop in on, guys. If you don't know my warm-ups, then, like, you have to make a plan. But I'm not going to stand here and fucking teach you the warm-ups.
Shit.
And, bro, that put a bee in Don's bonnet, bro. He was like, we're going to fucking do this better than all these oaks. Watch. So, like, he watches it. We get it right. No problem. Then you do warm-ups, then it's a complete fuck show after warm-ups, right? You sit there and he talks for 1 hour solid. No one does anything. You sit on the mat, he talks and tells you a story, kind of tells you some technique in between this fucking story about him and his neighbor. So you like ass cold by the time he gets to it, and then he's like, okay guys, 5 rounds of grappling, no leg locks the first 2 rounds, and that's the end of it, bro.
And that's a class.
That's the class. 2 hour class, 1 hour talking.
Shit.
I was like, what the fuck?
Chemtrails.
The one China, one of his brown belts or black belts, is literally sleeping on the mat while he is talking, right? So stoned out of his mind, can't even keep his eyes open. Bro, I was like, this is surreal. I actually can't understand this. Like, what the fuck's going on
Well,
here?
I just want to point this out to you and to Don Madge that if you just looked on Instagram, you
No,
would have found 10
she
minute
said,
warm-ups.
she said to us, she said to us,
There's a whole
go
Instagram
to,
page just for the warm
go to the Instagram page and go learn them quickly. Don's like, not a fuck.
How much time do you think I have,
the warm
lady?
up involved? Rolling, grinding, lighting.
100%. Oh, then after class, right? No one goes home. Everyone just starts fucking smoking weed. Don and myself left, but then Rich and Martin, all of them came and like went to the thing, but we couldn't communicate properly. So we come back. We find like some of our oaks in a fucking panel van smoking weed on a podcast. Like it is a shit show. The whole road is just oak smoking weed everywhere. I was like, what is going on here, bro?
Yeah, that California weed, fucking from Mars. Some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll put you on Mars.
Yes, it's
He had some California edibles last week.
Did you tell him that you switched out the 5 milligrams with the 15
I
form?
never did that.
Yeah, I knew that straight away. I was like, that's the first thing I thought. I've been hoaxed. I've been hoaxed.
just a prank, bro.
Yeah,
Relax.
I'm just a prank.
If you say it's a
I know
prank,
you're on
then
Mars,
yeah.
but it's just a joke,
Just a
buddy.
joke, yeah. It's like Ari Shafir dosing, Bert Kreischer with MDMA. Did you hear that on
No.
the Joe Rogan thing?
Bro, did you see Ari Shafir with
The Kobe
the Kobe
Bryant.
stuff?
Yeah.
Bro? I was like, oh my god.
That's how you
dude.
get cancelled, son.
Yeah.
101.
Jesus.
Mispronounce
Did you
the
see that
pronoun.
shit that he
No,
put
what
up?
did he do?
I'll try to find it for you.
But
China? Yeah.
he was with on Joe's podcast. They were talking. He was at Bert's house. You know Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, I know
Bert-
Bert
Bert.
Kreischer.
And he
Always takes his shirt off.
he dosed him with MDMA without telling him.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So obviously the oak's coming on and starts rushing. It's like, fuck, what's going on? I'm having a heart attack. It's like, just a prank, bro. It's just a prank. If you say it's a prank, apparently it nullifies everything.
Yeah.
Like oaks have to take it chilled, or at least that's what I do.
Bro, so
Dude,
When-
sorry,
when-
I don't know if I'm gonna find this post because he goes on like he tries to like stick to the joke, but his thing was like Kobe passed, no ways, or like something like that, or like Kobe passed, impossible, like trying to make a joke, obviously about basketball, whatever.
yeah.
And then
Too
people
soon.
started going in at him, and then he like posted this thing here, bro.
Yeah. Got away with rape because the Hollywood liberals is.
Bro.
And his apology was a bit like
Yeah, like long-winded.
I always try and make jokes about dead people, famous
Yeah,
dead
but
people.
like, listen,
Oh,
bro, like
man.
there's a time and place. Like I
Yeah.
get it, you're a comedian, but like yeah, that was aimed at getting controversy. Bro, you know what I mean?
100%.
Like it's
Like obviously like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, a couple of these basketball players have transcended basketball and everyone around the globe knows who they are. Even though like even South Africa we don't play a lot of basketball and so forth, right? But
Or any.
you don't realize like how like famous those guys are in like California and America and so forth. So like Kobe lives in Newport Beach and used to take a helicopter into LA, and it was like a thing that all like LA people would tell tourists and whatever that so I was there the day he died. The news broke at like 6:30 in the morning or whatever. I went to the shops like
oh.
Yes.
that's my key. It's fine. I went to the shops at like 8 with Don or like 9. By the time I went to the shops, every Kobe Bryant t-shirt in the entire shopping center had been sold out already. People were crying like in groups in the shopping center. It was like it was like when Princess Di died, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone was in mourning. Like it was crazy. Do you know by like 11 o'clock they were outside the Staples Center where the LA Lakers play, and they had congregated and had like an impromptu memorial, and they had like all the stuff up there. It was madness, bro. So you can just imagine like when Ari posted that Instagram post or tweet or whatever it was, how brutal. I mean, California is bigger than South Africa, like population-wise, economy-wise, everything. So imagine like you got a state that's bigger than most nations, like upset about this one thing, and this fucker comes and says something. It's like it's pretty hectic. Like you can understand like the backlash.
Of course, Kobe's like a deity there. I mean, he's
Yeah,
like a
100%.
god. Like if you're an
And
LA
his daughter
Lakers-
died. Like
Yeah.
it's like super sensitive, and like 2 other kids died.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's a hectic situation.
Nothing we should joke about.
No.
This is
What
quite.
we should joke about though is the steroid abuse.
That's what I just popped up on.
What do you mean? I thought Gordon Ryan was
You
cute.
have to
On
love.
Flow Grappling, bro. It says how
It's
bad.
Kynan that's a dirty
How
shit.
bad is the steroid problem in jiu-jitsu? Do any of you guys have an understanding of testing in professional jiu-jitsu?
Well, for me,
Yeah.
you know that they might be on
Stood
it
out to
is
me.
when they can
One of the biggest
compete.
imposters of the night
Sorry.
was Roberto's speech. After
Gosh.
he won.
They'll definitely flag you for this, eh?
yeah, the audio.
Flow
yeah.
Grappling
yeah,
don't
Flow
like
Grappling,
anyone.
bro. They
Yeah.
fucked us up the last time as well.
Yeah.
Look, we were watching videos,
There's your
and it
problem.
was on the TV for
Should've
everyone
told
to
them
see.
it's just a prank.
Yeah, we still said it nice. We're like, Flow Grappling, please, for sure, don't kick us off YouTube. Like, we just want to see some videos. Like, just calm
Flow
down.
grappling, it's
Take-
a prank.
Like,
Relax.
$14 a month, bro. Come on now.
Yeah.
$24 a
yeah,
month.
exactly, bro.
They don't like anyone.
Yeah, fuck.
Not
fuck
even
Flow
the people
Grappling.
they wanna
Just
get-
kidding.
Yeah, so you know that people are potentially on in a sport when they could compete in their sport and then do bodybuilding straight afterwards and probably win that as well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about doing on my return, bro. I reckon I'm
Bodybuilding
gonna,
and
I'm gonna
jiu-jitsu.
hit 80cc
That's a good
in
competition
September,
idea.
and then I'm gonna hit like the IBJJF.
But
Don't you have to have a
Middleweight.
rematch with Brendan
with
O'Dear?
Brendan, yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I'll smash
That's
that
on the
fool.
cards.
I'll smash
Yo,
that fool.
bad news.
I'll smash that fool. He's been training as much as I have, so.
Yeah, he's out on a wind farm in East London.
Exactly.
At the moment.
He's out in a town that's got like 3 people in it.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
he
wasn't
convinced those 3 people to grapple him on his fucking,
Of course.
on his fucking makeshift cardboard mats that he made,
Last
bro.
time I saw that guy, he was rocking a mullet and a thick moustache.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
why
he-
not, bro?
Like
That's
he's-
a man,
This
bro.
is an ode to you, B.
Yeah, my man.
So put it into perspective, right? So Worlds get what 4,000 competitors at Worlds.
Just there's a juicy gold medal there behind you that had Brandon's name on it, but then I passed.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Well, they only test the guys who win gold.
Yeah, but not even all of them, right?
No.
So out of 4,000 competitors, right, they test like something like 10 or 13 athletes out of 4. Like you're just ticking a box at that stage. It's not, and like
And the results are only released, what's it now? It's almost a year later.
yeah.
And Sukainen went on, he was able to go do everything,
Yeah.
win everything, Europeans, Pan Ams, not Brazilian nationals, but ADCC, but and no one knew that he'd popped.
Yeah.
And I mean, I doubt like Mo Jassim from ADCC was not going to have him on
Yeah.
because he popped. But like, you know, in any other sport, the news gets broken. They did
Yeah,
it
and
to that dude
You'll
from the
never
Lions.
you'll never get another fight.
No.
Like in most combat sports, if you popped, they'll
And they-
immediately start sanctioning you, do the investigation and so forth.
Do you remember? Do you guys follow that page, Dope Grappling?
Yeah.
And remember last year at Worlds, they were good. You had the outdoors guys going crazy, like looking for oaks, like snatching their phones, like, are you these guys? Because they were all saying like Barbosa and Galvao and Kynan are all on the
Yeah.
gear. Lo and behold, you don't behave like that if you're not on it.
It's gonna be so bad for their team's rep. I mean,
But even if you see some of the stuff that like Kynan's been commenting on people's Instagrams
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff, like he doesn't give a fuck.
he doesn't. What did you Dylan Dennis? He said, "I'd rather get popped like 100
Yeah.
times than pull out of
Yeah,
ADCC because my girlfriend left me."
Dude, that was hands down
Yeah.
one of the fucking worst things I've seen.
But even on a Flow Grappling page post, I think they were like Kynan stripped and banned for a year or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, woe is me!" Like it
Yeah.
changes anything. Like
But you have to love Flow Grappling. Like they break the news that Kynan popped, and the very next day the free fights is Kynan versus Leandro
Yeah.
Lopez, the finals of World Champ. Oh man, that was brilliant.
But you reckon like jiu-jitsu is growing at a ridiculous rate now? Like at some point it's got to become like MMA promotions, right? There's got to be this kind of testing. Like you've seen,
The Brazilians run it, so I mean,
Yeah.
isn't it? They don't give a shit. All of them are juicing. So
dare you.
I think
How dare you.
the first is to break that IBJJF thing, because like everyone thinks that if you win a world medal any IBJJF medal, it means something. It's no more expensive than one of these, and you
Yeah.
have to pay to enter. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
get anything else from it. The only thing that you get is if you win worlds, you get the prestige of being a world champion.
yeah.
Whereas ADCC, you get dollar, you get
You
money.
fucking
Even World
decent
Pro
money.
coming up now. You know,
Yeah.
like Walter from Angola, he travels around the world making a living, getting high up on the rankings from that. So I think the first thing is to break IBJJF, because, like, I mean, they're running it's a good production, but it's the market's no longer theirs to control anymore.
Well, that's why like a lot of the big guys, like when Drysdale stopped competing, he's like, why should I compete? The black belts shouldn't have to pay to enter. It should be a professional event. You should give us prize money. Who wants medals anymore? We want the money. You
Yeah.
know, like we can't make a living out of winning medals. So then IBWJF, they like succumbed to the pressure, and they started that pro league.
Yeah.
Like they invited a couple of guys,
But that's
gave out
also
like gave out $10,000. It was like $10,000. But you think about 4,000 people paying $100 entry, right? They're making $40,000, like no, $400,000 at Worlds, right? To hire the pyramid for the 4 days doesn't even make a dent in that 400,000. Like they're just making.
and they're not paying refs.
Unfortunately, it's
They don't
the
pay
Gracie
refs.
Baja.
Yeah, it's
crew.
Carlos.
Yeah, it's Carlos.
dude.
And I mean, we're part of the Gracie Bar system as well. You know, like we're part of Gracie Bar Sunny Hill. So like we're in the
Yeah, there
same
he
situation. Champ.
Chris Wilson, I hope you're watching this.
you need to put it on this screen.
Yeah, dude, I don't know why it's
Yeah.
freaking out.
I can still do that pose, Chris. But no, it's true, man. But that was the thing. Like when I mean, look, I'm deep in the Gracie Barra Kool-Aid, and I do enjoy the organization and whatnot. And you know, what it has done is made the structure of jiu-jitsu like.
Yeah.
You know, it's very easy to pass on the knowledge, and I see it at my gym with Storm and Professor Yaron as well. Like, it's great to have a set structure to follow, you know. And we have little Mila Ben David, who's been at our gym since the beginning, and she's been taught through the Gracie Barra system by Storm and Yaron, and she's gone out and won Pan Americans and came second now, and she's won in Dublin and whatnot. So, you know, it works, but you know when you know, they want you to have red walls and blue this and whatever, then it gets a bit squirrely. But it's like any of the, it's like any of them, you know. But I think
structure is great to a point, and then like structure can also be quite limiting, like on your own personal take on everything. You know, and that's where what I do like about the Gracie Baja system a lot is that it does help, like instructors or guys who starting like jiu-jitsu gyms to like understand the business behind it and how to understand the
100%.
economy, like the economics about how to make this business work and so forth, which I think is great. And then at least you can also piggyback the marketing train that goes behind Gracie Bar.
and the uniformity is nice. Like it, you know, it's nice to know that like we're on week 12 at the moment, and if I go to the States or to the UK, I'm going to jump into the exact same class. The warm up's the same, so it sort of breaks a little bit of that. Maybe that. You know, you like you said, you guys went to a 10th Planet thing. You guys didn't even know what the warm-ups were. Do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
and it makes things a bit like.
But
you know?
the problem was they
in
expected
fairness,
you to know.
In fairness,
It's
they
like,
could have checked it out on
No,
Instagram.
well, now we
If
know.
they followed the page.
yeah.
which
All
I
they
think
had to do was go onto
go and follow.
Instagram. I mean,
But what
yeah.
I mean is like you buy, you know, and it's something that I really do enjoy about the Gracie Barra thing, and you know, I started at Renzo with Kurt George, and that's its own sort of thing, and I think there's pros and cons to both sides. You know, I do get like, you know, I missed the days where we didn't have to wear a rash guard under our gis, and you could just go, or you could sit on the mat without a rash guard on. But I do understand. Oh, Chris Wilson, there you go, son. That's the J Money Murray trap back take. Boom.
Yeah. It's not going to be
how
on
did
fire
He's
at
probably-
training this week.
I'm gonna turn my phone off. Eric, when do you want to fight? Let's go right now. Come to St. Stithians.
with your fight with Chris, if I remember correctly, he pulled guard, went butterfly, got double under, then tried to enter the legs.
So
Then you got out of it,
so
took
he
his back.
he pulled, and he actually got me in a sort of semi-calf slicer, which was going on, but because of the way he was seated, he needed to get under me more, but he left his arm out. And one of my favorite techniques is the Kimura trap, especially a no-gi. And once that elbow is out, and that was that, and then from there, like.
Oh, so did you roll? You rolled over your shoulder with the Kimura trap, and
Rolled
then he
over.
kind of like tried to follow you. You took his back.
Kick my legs out, and then natural response is to try and turn in, and then you whip underneath, and then I got his back from there.
You know what's crazy is that we have a sequence like that in the Coach Kwan system where you shouldn't
You're meant to lie down. You're not meant to follow up.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh
So-
shit! Now I'm gonna have to change my system. I mean, you follow up like Chris did.
Oh, Khabib,
Oh,
Khabib
and
and Connor.
It's kind of a tradition though, for the guests to knock over all
Oh,
of them.
it was me. I knew it.
But what?
Back to Gracie Baha.
Yeah, so like it is, and especially now running the gym, like I remember walking into my first jiu-jitsu class, and there was Wesley George and Matthew Taylor and all these oaks lifting weights, tops off, and I was like, "Fuck, I am not in the right place. Like this isn't."
And
what-
Wesley George
and
back
we-
then walked around like a superhero.
Wesley was bodied up,
And
bro.
like,
I remember he'd come to the feelers and I'd be like, I'm
Yes,
so
bro.
glad I don't have to roll
like,
you. I'm so glad.
Oaks wouldn't talk to you as a white belt, and like, I think Kurt only acknowledged me like 10 days into training or something. Like, he's like, "Oh, you're new. Fucking get back on the mat." And then like you have the Gracie Barra system where like it's very like family orientated. You walk in and it's designed for that, and I think that's what needs there to be more of at the moment to get. It's daunting walking into a jiu-jitsu gym.
100%.
And and Al and I were touching on it a bit before you guys arrived, that like it's no longer a boys club. Like we've got a good women's ladies class going on at the gym, and like you don't want it to be a place where they come in and there's oaks running around without their tops on and fucking sliding on the mats or doing whatever. It's got to be a place where everyone can come in, and that's the jiu-jitsu for everyone thing. And that's one thing I really do admire about the Gracie Barra system, is that and through the online back courses, the ICP6, and there's a portal where you can go on and you can see what the class is, and it helps you and it teaches you. And I really do think that that's what I think some more gyms could follow, not necessarily carbon copy, but to make it more accessible. Like how cool would it be to see stacked women's divisions, not just the same girls fighting again and again, and and like.
No, we agree, like especially Rock and myself. I can't speak for everyone that's within our system, but like we make a concerted effort about it being family orientated gym. Like our biggest class is actually kids. Like it's way bigger than adults. And we came from that like old school MMA gym type thing where everyone just gets undressed everywhere.
There was a guy who was literally nicknamed Naked John because
Naked
he
John.
basically just used to roll in a speedo. That was it.
And when I had to like sit everyone down the other day and be like, guys, you can't change in the gym anymore, and because we got showers and change rooms and everything.
People
like,
were smashing things. They were so mad.
that was so upset. What? I can't change in the gym. And then like even last night, guys were like, guys, I really don't like this thing. I can't change in the gym. I was like, guys, you cannot change when there's little kids around you and when their mothers are here, and it's just you can't do it. We have to like, when we went to Cobrinha, if you're not like fully dressed up when you walk out of the bathroom, like belt on, like fully ready to roll, he sends you back in, and he'll Cobrinha will come off the mat and tune you to go. One of our guys, like after training, like sat slightly on a chair while he was sweaty. He was like, get to the bathroom immediately. It was like, whoa.
I think it's good for that to be, because like, shit, man, I see it like dealing with the kids coming and like new guys signing up to the gym, and some of them is just like deer in the headlights. And you're like, they're like, how do I get better? How do I do this? How do I do that? And you're like, damn, man, just stay and roll. But it makes it easier when everyone looks the same and everyone, they're buying into something, whereas you don't just have oaks trying to murder the fuck out of each other, and tops off and tattoos and bleeding and whatever. So I do miss that myself sometimes, because like there is sometimes nothing better than fucking sweating and taking your gear off and just sitting on the mat and just dying and recovering. But there we go. That was Angola. But you know, I think to go forward and make it accessible to everyone else, you
Yeah.
got to standardize it and make it a bit more
Yeah.
family friendly.
I think that's where Rich and them got it right. You know, you've got the morning and evenings, which is more commercial. But then there's like this 12 o'clock session. It's
It's
like
dark.
a motherfucker session.
It gets dark.
It gets dark. Sometimes there's like Norse fucking chanting music in the background and actually just murdering each other.
We had
It's like-
Russian opera the other day.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
for 2 hours.
No,
bro.
when Chef puts Russian opera on, you know you're gonna get fucked up.
And I think that's also needed, though. I think for the guys that are wanting to get like down and dirty, I
Yeah.
think that's also needed, and they should also be given a space where, okay, guys, it's only purple, brown, and black belts, and it's a closed session only for these oaks, and we're gonna get messy.
Yeah.
And then that's also important, I think,
no,
because
100%.
it can't just be GB1 the whole time. You need to
Yeah.
have some savage sessions, you know. So, but again, savage sessions don't pay the bills. It's GB1s
Exactly.
that pay the bills. So you
100%.
got to have, you know,
How's the transition gone from being just a regular practitioner to being a gym owner?
it's been good. It's been more the, you know, like now we're offering people a service. So
Yeah.
you know, and you're on and Storm.
Sorry, bro. You're talking about GB1. This is one of the possibly the hardest things to convince people about jiu-jitsu. Is this that just happened right here? How would you explain this to someone?
Also,
this
anyone
tran-
else
this-
panicking that this guy's sitting on the mat or the chair?
No,
like- Those mats look like they're
Where
crying.
you willingly go and bend over and ask this man to take you from behind.
yeah. Well, I think this is the abbreviated version because we argued for like 4 minutes, and credit to America, but he was trying to get extra hooks in and extra grips in that didn't exist when we originally stopped.
Well,
Yeah,
do
they
you
had
know
an
you know
armbar.
how you gotta try. So like trying to explain it to people. Someone was saying the other day, like a non-jiu-jitsu practitioner was saying to me, like, how the heck do you roll ladies? Like, isn't that awkward? I was like, you're focusing on trying not to get essentially murdered
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
You're not focusing on anything else. Like, especially some of the chicks from Gracie Bar Signing, they will kill you.
Yeah,
Like, they
no,
take
they
you.
will literally kill you.
Go roll Jess, she'll definitely
Yeah,
kill you. She'll easily kill
Kiki,
you.
Kiki will murder you. But
Yeah.
it's what were we saying? It's yeah. So I think that's the way jiu-jitsu's got to go, you
Yeah.
know. And you were asking? Yeah, I mean it's great to see guys starting and you know running the business in the gym, but it's tough. It's not just
Yeah.
the classes. You got to expand and do other things, and we're looking to you know maybe go into schools and some corporates and whatever, but. I mean, hey man, shit. 8 years ago, I was some clueless kid who just watched like Penny Thomas and some UFC videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a position where I work with two really top class gents in Storm and Euron, and you know it's been tough and we've had our disagreements, but you know we're really on a good wicket now, and not just them, but Mark and Sean, the guys who entrusted us to take over the gym. And then all the guys and girls at Gracie Barrier Lover, like there are days when I don't really want to be at the gym because of life and like fuck also, you know, but you go there and you see a dude who maybe hasn't been.
Tinder's been blowing up.
Yeah, you know, I'm big in Angola as well. So, but you go there and you see a dude who maybe it hasn't been clicking and it clicks for him.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not your best training session, but he got that sweep or some one of the ladies managed to submit a guy or whatever. And that's the stuff like. Maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, but that's the stuff that means a lot more now. Like, you know, and like
No, I
to see
feel
the
you.
guys go and don't get me wrong, like I still like to thrash the white belts. It's still a fun hobby, but now I just have to be extra careful because they pay my salary. So,
Oh, okay.
you know, I
Are you
can't-
full time now at Gracie Bar?
No, I'm not full time. I still have my government job.
Okay. What's your government job?
I organize big sporting events.
Okay.
Cycle challenge or ride Joburg, walk the talk.
Yeah, he's the
Big-
guy that fucks up your Sunday once a year.
Yeah, once a year though. Once a year. Except for Chris Wilson's twice a year. I love you, little ring. This is just for all the smack talk he sent me. But
Bro-
also, you know, so yeah, it's been great. It's really been an honor and a privilege, and like, I just wish like there's so much more I want to do, not
Yeah.
just for our gym, but like I want to get like just to get the community back together again, and you know, so there's some big things on the horizon coming
Yeah.
up, and
Hopefully some gi tournaments. I mean, we
Yeah.
need some gi
Bro,
tournaments.
just before you guys move on there, you're a guy who's in quite like a unique position, and you guys were touching on it a bit earlier about guys competing and the guys are making noise, and the guys that aren't competing. So, you're a guy who's actively involved in the gym, like one of the bigger gyms in the country, kind of leading from the front. Do you feel pressure to compete, to kind of say, look, what I'm teaching you is real, I'm using it in a real life situation in terms of competition? Or is it more just a byproduct of something that you love doing and you're not really bothered how it affects? Because like I think a big connotation in jiu-jitsu, especially in certain fraternities in South Africa, is the fear of losing and the effect that'll have on your jiu-jitsu school. I mean, there's not a lot of guys, but I think a lot of guys who don't compete is because they're like, well, look, you know, I got to go teach class on a Monday. I can't come here and lose to some dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, so do you think that like thought process is correct, or do you think that you should just go and compete regardless? Like it's win or lose. You're putting yourself out there.
So I've had a bit of I don't want to say an epiphany, but like a transition in my competition mindset. Like I used to be that guy that didn't really take it. I love competing naturally, I do, but I didn't take it as seriously as I should. So I'd arrive and have to go and sit in the car with this plastic bag on to cut weight, and a couple of times before comps, and you know I'd have a couple drinks the night before, or just not do it properly. And then it was always easy to have an excuse to lose, like, oh, you know, I did this, whatever. And then at some point last year, it was pretty much before ADCC, I went through some personal stuff, and I just changed my mindset. I was like, you know what, I might not be the best grappler in the country or in the world or whatever, but I know when I step on the mats, no matter what the rule set is or who I'm fighting against, I will be 100% prepared. I'll be on weight. I will have eaten properly. I will have done all the training, and then whatever happens on the day, it's 50-50. You know, obviously I like to win, but
There's so many variables.
There's so many variables. Yeah. I mean, this fight here, like we went at it for hell today. I would have loved to have won, but it was better not winning in overall. And you know what, at the end of the day, I think everyone should compete. I'm a big fan of competition. I think whether you do it once or you do it 100 times, I think it's something you should do. But I also understand that some guys won't do it. But I think if you can go out there and leave it and give your best and not have any excuses, the worst thing in the world to me is oaks that have excuses before they've even fought. Oh, dude, couldn't sleep last night, the mosquitoes. Like, you know, like that's not an excuse. Or,
yeah, 100%.
Oh, you know, the petrol's so expensive. You're like, I don't even know what this means. But you know, like I think if you're gonna compete and you're gonna lead from the front as a higher belt or whatever, it takes a lot to step out there and compete.
Oh, definitely.
And you got to go out there and fucking swing dick and make sure you give it your all. And then I think then it's fine. And I'd never want anyone to be like me and whatever. But if Oaks can watch and see that I can hang and do whatever and train and I still jaw, I still drink, I still fuck around every now and again, but I make sure that when it comes to a competition, it's respect to myself, to my opponent, that I'm 100% there and ready to go. And I think that's just the way I view it and take it.
You know, like I've got like different feelings about competition to a Geo. Like you're probably more of a natural.
I have to beg this guy to compete.
So like when I was a blue belt, I did like over 150 competitive matches in jiu-jitsu, right? And every time for every tournament, I hate knowing I have to compete. I hate it. It ruins my life. Like every time, because like I don't know how to explain it to people. Like I love training. I love training all the time, right? I don't like the feeling of being in a fight,
yeah.
Right? And the only reason I ever did it was because it made me so uncomfortable, right? So I did over 150 matches at blue belt. I probably did like about 50 or so at white belt. I did over 50 at purple belt, and then like I stopped. And then I came back last year. I did like 7 matches last year. Won all of them. I fucking hated all of them.
Took my yellow jersey at that Durban event.
Yeah, I took the yellow jersey at the Durban event. But like,
I had your number and absolutely
for me,
just tricked me.
Like for me, the reason I don't compete that much is I actually just don't like it. Like I don't like the competition.
But you've done it enough to know that you don't like it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I like to go to gyms and roll people. Like that gives me a kick, you know. Like going to America now was the best thing ever. Like you just go to a random, like a gym, they don't know who you are, you just roll. You wait and try and see who the black belt and the brown belts are, and you go and you roll. Oof,
Yeah,
that was bad.
that was delicious.
And you go roll them, and it's so much fun, right? But I hate competing, and that's why I don't compete in MMA either. Like every fight I've ever had, I've hated every second of it. But I've tried it. At least I can say that I hate it. But the problem that keeps dragging me back is that feeling afterwards when you win. You're like, fuck, that was nice to win.
Yeah. It's a
It was nice
narcissistic
to win.
feeling because at the end of the day, you're going up against someone who, okay, if like it's another brown belt that has the same level as you, and it's nice to know that you're better at someone who's on your level. Do you know what I
100%.
mean? It's,
That you own that person.
yeah, it is a narcissistic.
For that
Is
day.
that how we do this? So I own you.
I
Take
told
that
you, I had your number. You
Buy
just tricked
jiu-jitsu
me.
door. It was a prank, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a prank.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before the comp, I say to him, you know, like if we come up against each other in the fight, I'll just forfeit. You can win. So we go there. We get both to get to the finals.
Well,
I
firstly,
go
that
to
Durban tournament, Joburg owned that thing.
yeah, between
Like, I think there
between
were like four
Genie,
German
Luke,
people.
myself, and yourself, we just like flew through that. But anyway, so we get to the finals. It's me and him in the finals. So I go to Will. I'm like, well, I'm not fighting. He's my brother-in-law. No, it's not gonna happen. So he's like, cool, you both disqualified.
Oh, shit.
I was like, oh fuck, I don't want to be disqualified. I want to win something. Yeah. It's like rock fight.
And then the whole day before, he'd been showing me this cool new body lock pass. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then he did it to me in the
in the
tournament.
thing, and I
That's
clicked
cool.
his back. I clicked his back for him
It
in the
clicked
match.
all the way from the bottom to the top. I was like, thank you.
I mean, when I say like, I think though that you know we now at that point where you're getting like if you have to think of it of everyone lining up on the mat, where a lot of gyms now are becoming top heavy with colored belts,
100%,
you know, which is cool. And in the next, I don't know, call it a year and a half, I think there's going to be a huge new crop of pure South African black belts. You know, we got the
Yeah.
Richies and the Chefs and the various others, the Kurt Georges, etc. around. But like I think of the guys at Renzo Gracie, there's about 5 or 6 guys there. Martino,
verge.
Richie, Alex, Matthew, top grapplers there, and the nicest dudes. Kyle Abrams as well, that are all on the verge of black belt. You, myself, a couple of other guys from my gym. So like in say by the end of the year, by the end of next year, you're gonna have gyms with 3 or 4 black belts per gym, which is crazy to think about. You know, where there weren't even 3 or 4 black belts in the country
Yeah.
a couple of years
Well,
ago.
when we started at Quantum Tribe in 2010, the white belts used to wrap around the edges of the mat. And then there were like 10, 20 blue belts, and then like 2 purple belts, and then a brown belt.
Yeah.
Like that was it.
And that's how it was for ages.
Yeah.
And it's quite cool to see now, like, you know, that shifting. And I think these are my own personal opinions, but I think this new wave and crop of black belts, like how cool would it be to go to a competition, whether it's gi or no gi, and have a stacked black belt division, but not with guys from Angola or Mauritius or Reunion or Brazil, but pure local black belts. Like that would be
100%. Just tell me on the day
epic.
that it's happening. You know,
Yeah. But I mean, that would be like, you know,
it'll be
that's
epic.
the full circle type of
It'll be epic.
thing, you know. And
We did like a little exercise about 3 years ago. We had 30 black belts. Well, no, 2 years ago we had 30 black belts, right?
In South Africa.
Actually, it was 18 months ago we had 32 black belts in South Africa.
32.
I know,
Yeah.
because you wrote it up for the black belt stories thing.
Yeah.
No way.
Then within 18 months we're up to 67. We've
Black
like more
belts
than
in this
doubled.
country?
We've more than
Yeah.
doubled.
There was a dude.
Dude,
Who
there's
was
a
it? Was it?
So it's
bomb load
black
of
belts
black
in this
belts.
country, is black belts in this country, or black belts that are South African in another country?
Living abroad, yeah.
But those black belts living abroad is only like maybe 10. It's not a big.
Are you sure those numbers are correct?
Yeah, there was. Who was the
Dude,
dude
I'm
who
not
gave out
doubting you, I'm
five?
just- It just sounds ludicrous. Like,
Someone.
I mean,
Who was it who gave out?
Last year alone was like 20 black belts.
Dude, I was because so we were trying to assemble a list for the black belt stories because in my head there was like 15. I could do them all.
yeah,
And
I'm just trying to run names.
we just
from
started
my head.
adding and adding and adding and adding and adding.
Okay,
and
I'm not
adding.
too clued up. Like, okay, I know, like, from the
Was.
Capes, you've got, like, obviously Chris Bright and Johan Oosthuizen, and then you got Kurt George, and James Smart and Jacques Portelli in Cape Town.
Rico Hatting.
Rico Hatting, okay. Sean, whatever his name was, but he's no longer in the country. Joburg, you've got, okay, you guys' side, you got Richie, Chef, but that's all there is in your gym.
Bobby Caliaginides.
Yeah, so
Vickers.
let's go. We'll start with the highest ranked black belts. We got obviously Rodney King, the OG of Jiu Jitsu. Then Penny and Nick. Penny
Rodney's
Thomas,
also-
Nick Grigoriadis. They're
Rodney's
both,
also relocated, eh? He's
but,
in Thailand.
but literally like 3 months ago. James Smart, Bobby Caraginides, Jürgen Patter, Mark Herbert, Vickers Swart. Right?
Yeah.
Then First Degrees, Mornay Swanepoel, Neil Kaiser, Rico Hatting, Tony Johnson from Crazy Monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, local black
Andrew
belt.
Garai.
Andrew Garai now just black belt, no degree on their belt. We're on 49. So Wesley's obviously overseas, but Rio Grappling have handed out like
Dude.
30 of the black belts. I can't talk.
Just get it off your chest.
No, bro, like, look. look. Okay, I started with Kurt George, okay?
Yeah.
And Kurt still, like, I mean, the oaks that I think, like, Matty Taylor's, he was a purple belt when I started.
That
right?
oak's been a brown belt
For ages.
ever. His brown belt is almost falling apart. Like
Yeah.
it's
I
like
hate it
worse
when
than-
your belt
it's worse-
starts to fall apart.
It's worse than Rock's blue belt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you were saying earlier about how that gym makes you wear another belt. I don't know how I'd not wear my blue belt. That thing's gonna be with me forever.
Yeah.
I'm
Also,
an
you
eternal
lose all
blue
your
belt.
powers.
Exactly.
But, okay.
But look at that list. Like I mean,
There's some guys in here. Okay, obviously B from East Rand, Brett, Chris Bright. Nah, dog. I don't know who Cornell's. And look, I'd roll any of you oaks at any time. So I'm not. I'll say what I want, but
yeah.
I don't know half of these oaks. I don't know. I'd never heard of half of them. Obviously, I know quite a few of them, but
We
I'd
should
put
start
an-
a-
I'd
we
put
should-
an asterisk next to some of these.
So we,
oaks.
we said we wanted to do
There's
a road trip.
67 black belts and 1 rope belt.
We wanted to do a road trip, right?
One rope.
yeah,
Like obviously,
he's legit.
obviously, sometimes ego is going to get in the way of this, but we said we wanted to go and roll every black belt that's on this list, right? And that
Fuck, I'll come with.
100%. And we said that the only agreement is that it's recorded, right? They can, we'll chat to them first. They can talk about like their journey and whatever, and then we roll afterwards. And no matter what happens in the roll, those 5 minutes unedited go up, and then everyone knows who you are as a black belt,
I'm shocked at that list.
right? So that was the plan, and that is the plan,
Ooh,
right? That's why
look
we
at
actually
that
got this list
technique.
together now, is because we wanted to go and visit all these people, and the idea is not to necessarily go out and be like, oh, you're a fucking fake, you know?
Don't lie, bro.
No.
But if, like, in fairness, if like Rourke rolls one of them and he schools them, like, then you're gonna
Well, you
kinda
should
be
you
like,
should have a
what the fuck?
selection of
Look,
of oaks, right? You should have like a
Which
not saying a
school
blue
has the
belt.
most black belts? I'm gonna hazard a guess and say Rio Grappling.
Oh yeah, that more than 50% of the black belts.
Oh,
are
bring
black
it-
belts.
bring up that picture.
Pay that oak a
Hey.
flight
Bring
ticket
up that
and
picture,
a couple
that
bottles
Rio
of
grappling
wine.
picture from last year. With
Yeah, let's actually.
Yeah, I think
know,
there was
like-
something
like-
like 5 last year, bro. There was a grading last year at the end. You know, like everyone has grading season. There was a grading season picture last year where the dudes at Rio Grappling gave out 5.
But hang
black
on
belts
here.
in one night.
Have any of you guys seen this documentary on Netflix called The Pharmacist?
Yes,
Seen it?
yes.
The chick basically was running a pill mill. She's handing
Yes.
out too many subscriptions.
Well, that's Roberto. It's a belt mill. Tell her that is.
No, I just want to. That's what I want to ask, because it's one singular dude who's a black belt for all of these places handing out black belts. I'm correct.
And then
Yeah,
we're not
it's-
calling anyone out. It's just
No,
we are
Jamie
just
100%
making
said he's
an
gonna fucking destroy all of
observation.
them.
I'll
bro.
roll whoever.
Ho.
But you know, look, okay, like we had our grading at the end of last year, and we gave, or Professor Uran gave to Sean Bloomberg
Belt mill.
and Mikhail Shapiro. Now, Sean and Mikhail have been grappling for years. I think Sean Bloomberg alone has been doing this for 16 years. He was one of the OGs back in the day with like
Yeah.
Kurt and whatever. You know, he's a dad. He's got 3 kids, 4 kids. He comes and does his rolling every now and again. He's not. I'd expect a competitive brown belt, even purple belt, to beat him. But he's put in the time. I'm not saying a lot of these other guys haven't put in the time, but I just find it odd that one academy can have fucking how many of the
So
67?
we got
30.
62
How many?
black
30.
belts. 60.
Thirty
Oh, hold
is
on.
from Rio
There's
Grande.
62 black belts. there's 22 guaranteed that are from Rio Grappling, and there's a couple where I don't know where their lineage is from. Like there's a couple where there might have been a Rio Grappling.
Yeah,
black
this is the
belt.
one you want, Rock. Listen, let's
Yo,
just
That's not the one Rock wants. That I just wanted to see.
let's just be clear on this, that we're not saying that all Rio Grappling black belts are not legit.
No,
Some of them are
Because
super
Bob,
legit.
Bobby will
But
fuck your
all-
shit up properly,
All
bro.
non-legit black belts are Rio Grappling black belts. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Is that what
I'm
saying?
just saying there are some. This is always the problem. What happens with these, like,
Hey Warren,
I'm
didn't
not
you
saying-
fight that guy?
I'm not
I
saying
did.
Rio
Bradley
Grappling
Collins, I did
anything.
fight him in an MMA fight. Funny enough, we grappled
But
for
where
most of the
are?
match.
I'm sorry, guys.
Who's
like
this?
That's
fella?
Harry. That's Harry.
that's Harry.
Yeah.
Harry's
He's been around the
been-
block,
Been
yeah.
around the block. But where are Oaks? Like, okay, not a common sight. Six
So-
black belts in one club. But where?
There's a
where?
reason for that.
Yeah, but where though? Come on, like, and look.
So that's Harry, Jurgen, Bradley. I think that's that Cornell guy. Then Oogie, and I don't know who the last guy is.
But Brew, like, look, and I'm not bashing anyone, and if anyone has a problem with this, they can always message me. I don't mind. And these are my own thoughts and opinions. Just with cancel culture, I don't want to be cancelled out of my own gym. But this is nonsense, though. That like, where are all these Oaks? Where to get a black belt is a huge privilege, and I'd like to know the time Oaks have been putting in. I've been doing this for 8 years myself. I know you've also been
10.
doing this. Yeah, there
A
you
decade.
go. Not a black belt yet. Kurt George did this for far too long before he got his black belt. Matty Taylor, Martino da Silva, Ricky da Silva. You know what I mean? And like those Oaks, those are legit grapplers. You know, guys in Joburg, guys are legit grapplers. The guys from Don Martin, JP. I know he's no longer here, but I mean he's in the States. BK.
The vet.
De Vet's
De
they
Vet's
the
a
lung.
savage.
Yes,
Bro,
he-
De Vet's a little fucking killer from Polokwane there. JD van der Merwe, another killer.
My biggest concern is that when you have black belts in the country that the rest of the BJJ community don't even know about.
But
They've
this
never
is-
heard your name. They've never seen your face.
This is
But
what
you're a
I'm,
black belt.
and this is why I act so surprised when you say there's a list of. Brew, if you'd asked me
60
before the
to-
podcast, I would have said
62
20. And I,
62
those are the
confirmed.
ones I could have.
You know what's
named.
funny is all the grapplers that you mentioned, like you could probably tell people exactly what their belt rank is because you know everyone in the community knows each other.
Dude, look,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, I can tell you now, and it's not a biased thing. If Warren doesn't know somebody in the jiu-jitsu community, I'm starting to question who the fuck that person is because he's
got a
done
list.
he's
He's
done
got
the
a PowerPoint
exercise.
thing
You
on
know what
his
I'm saying?
laptop.
Like, I've often looked at pictures. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Like, and it's like, oh, that's fucking Speedy
But
Pompies from fucking Somerset East.
but
bro.
we even know Oaks that aren't like look at Huntley's gym, Huntley Smith, top class gent. You got JP there, you got Marcel, you got fucking good
Rock
Oaks
and
there
roll.
that we know that aren't that we know them that they're not even though they're not black belts.
Yeah.
Dylan Carrera, legend, blue belt.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I find it very bizarre, and I only say this because I'm passionate about this and I love this community, and to see 6 black belts, Brew, come now, where, from who, who, you know?
like for to put in perspective, what sort of percentage of the world will ever get a black belt in jiu-jitsu? 0.5%, maybe 1%.
Yeah.
Like it's
I'd love to see that gym's lower ranks, like how many white belts, blue belts, purple belts, brown belts there.
And if anyone from Rio Grappling has a problem, I'm at Gracie Barre Lovo, Monday to Friday, Saturday mornings as well. You can come through whenever you want.
And we didn't even include like the CJA black belts,
Dude,
because that's
they
like
got-
15 by
like
themselves.
an 18-year-old last year who got a black belt in jiu-jitsu, CJ jiu-jitsu.
Hicks and Gracie certified.
Yeah, you.
Do you see they denounced they
Yeah.
retracted their certification?
look, bro. It's like
Well,
it's-
did you
it's-
read that letter that Oak wrote? Like, I am the one that gave you everything. I
Yeah.
have built this house that you come
How
and
dare you not
This
send me an
is
SMS
so-
that you did not come into my black belt, bro?
Maybe
what
that's
you guys
why
got. I
all
want
these
a
Oaks
black
got
belt,
black
bro.
belts
But, bro,
because there's
this
a
is-
ride going on.
this is the reality.
You have me a black belt, I'll definitely go. That sounds amazing.
Oaks, when I get mine, you Oaks are all invited.
Yes.
And you better SMS them.
Yeah.
No, Instagram. I'll tag you on Instagram.
Honestly,
But
the day I
listen,
get my
bro.
black belt, I'm gonna take it off for like 48 hours straight.
48 hours.
Wear it.
I'm
Wear it
gonna wear
everywhere.
it till it
Wear it around your head, bro, and go to work. Fucking rock that shit. Listen, bro. The reality of, and this is, we were talking about this before we started. The reality of the situation is if you're listening by chance to this and you want to get into jiu-jitsu, do your due diligence. Not to say real grappling is not great. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there are guys, you know what happens from what I've seen, from a very, out of all of us in this room, probably the most outside perspective in terms of jiu-jitsu. I've traveled around, I've seen different gyms, I've seen how they operate. I've been involved in a gym when it's, I don't want to say cult, but I want to say you like you said, you're drinking the Kool-Aid, dude. And it is, I picked it up very quickly. It took a lot of guys a long time to realize what the fuck was going on there. You mentioned JP Kruger, but that was like a blinding moment for me. Went to JP Kruger's gym, jumped in one of his classes, was doing like a write-up about his gym. 2 minutes into my first roll with a white belt, similar size to me, I knew that the last 8 months had been a complete fucking waste of my time. And I knew it while I was there, but you don't want to face the reality. So a lot of these guys kind of force you to stay in that sort of area that don't go to competitions because the guys from
The art of running a cult, bro.
Exactly.
Like,
The guys from Gracie Bar all over
You don't know
only do
you're in a
leg locks
cult.
and they're going to fucking break your knees. You know what I mean? Don't go roll at this open mat because the guys are fucking meatheads and they're going to smash you. And you start actually you're like, well, fuck, I better not go there. You know what I'm saying, bro? And there's a lot of gyms around Joburg that had this negative connotation for no fucking reason, bro. And it's actually the complete opposite. But it's designed like that to keep you in this. You don't know any better.
Well,
and there's nothing wrong in jiu-jitsu. There's nothing wrong with going to test your skills, whether it's in competition, whether it's in open mat, whether it's in whatever case you got to do it.
100. Well, that situation arises when you get a gym with 6 black belts. That 2 guys, I'd like to say, between us, almost 20 years of grappling experience.
Yeah.
We've been around the block, locally, internationally. I like to think I'm pretty big and I know pretty much a lot of the top dogs in this community. Don't know, besides obviously like Harry and Jürgen, but I mean, you know, and this is not a bashing thing, but you know, we get guys phoning to join up our gym and they'll be like, oh, I'm from, I live in Springs or whatever. So phone Huntley Smith. Oh, I live in
100%.
Sunning Hill. Don't come to, why come to me? There's a capable gym with Richie and Chef there. Go there. This isn't a competition over who can keep the most people and,
100%, bro.
you know, putting people out. And that's the problem is like, I think a lot of the gyms feel like it's a competition.
Yeah.
You know, like we have to keep, don't go there. Those oaks do this. And then, like you say, this gym only does leg locks. Well, why don't we fucking learn leg locks? You know, that's the cure to it. That's what was going around about Renzo Gracie, the guys from Cape Town. Oh, those oaks. You know why? Because that's their lineage. John was doing it. They learned it. Whose fault is it that the rest of us slacked? It's not their
100%,
fault.
bro.
It's our fault.
That's why people don't like certain things in jiu-jitsu, because they don't understand it.
But to say we don't want to compete or roll against the guys from Renzo, for example, and I use them just because I know them, but because they do leg locks, that's silly.
No,
You don't have to play leg locks, but to avoid a whole group of people in the community because you don't do what they do.
There's also
or your
mentality though, bro. It's
But-
like if you're gonna get caught, they're like, oh, I don't want to go there because all they're gonna do is catch us with this. And it's like, fuck.
Well,
I remember.
If I lose by something, bro, best fucking believe the next time I get to jiu-jitsu, I'm like,
yeah, you're gonna go over it.
Yes, you will.
So
What
we
went
can
wrong?
all
'Cause you're not
universally
scared
hate
to-
wrist lockers.
Again, we're humble. Like we're not humble, but we flaw. We're not
I'll wrist
perfect.
lock your shit.
I don't know
I'm
how
not
to.
scared.
We just started doing parambolos lately. I've never done a parambola until the last 2 weeks in my jiu-jitsu career, but I'm willing to learn. I suck
Yeah.
at them. The oaks, the blue belts that drink that watch all the YouTube videos, they parambola the fuck out of me. But I'm now getting to a point where I can get
Raw
better.
calls me now. He's like, hey, watch this, and then you'll take one of the white belts. Take the back.
No, and that's the thing to do.
Bro,
But
like you were saying, I remember after my first competition, I got guillotined off my feet within 2 minutes, and I thought my whole
I remember
fucking
that.
spine was going to be
Yeah.
detached. And I went back to Dave on Monday, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I need to do, but you need to tell me.
Yeah.
Like we need to, and he's like, you know, Dave too. He's like, half god.
yeah,
Half god.
Yeah.
Half god is
You need half god.
half god is Ezekiel.
So, but like in that time, and he was saying to me, and he's like going through like this whole half guard game, and he's like, the first thing before the last comp, the no gi comp that I was in, and he's like, listen, there's gonna be quadrants of guys. If you leave your leg like that, you're gonna get fucking smashed. And it wasn't not like we can't do leg locks. He's like, you have to have an understanding that there's gonna be guys. If you leave your leg like that in a half guard, you're gonna get fucking smashed. Like it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a straight ankle lock all day. It's there.
Yeah.
So like we don't have the time to go through it now. But you this is the defense that you need to be aware of, and that's how it is. And you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, those dirty fucking pirates are going to take your leg home. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you just got to be conscious of it. And like, when you get through this, then we'll start looking at what we want to do from there. Yeah.
Even on the worst scale, say you're not competing because you don't know that stuff. You know what I mean? Which is
Just be aware of it, yeah.
you know, and I think we're on that like sort of shift now, like I say, with a huge new crop of black belts coming through. I think that will really sort of solidify and legitimize more than that list does. But you know, fuck, I jest and it's just a prank, everyone, as well. It's just relax.
It's just a
But
prank.
it's just a prank. But you know, it's again, and this is a thing I think as well with the community, we can't laugh at ourselves. You know, I'm by no means the best grappler. Probably all of those oaks in the list could beat me, but I'm willing to.
Bro, I got submitted multiple times today, bro.
Yeah,
So.
but the thing is,
By one
That's a
motherfucker.
beat.
No, not by. No, please, bro. Zabit almost ran away today.
we take ourselves too seriously
yeah.
as these higher belts in this community, and that we almost untouchable. Oh, I did the yards, and like, yeah, bro, but fucking, you open to critique. Everyone is, you know, and
100%.
don't get all. Oh, these oaks. He runs his mouth. He does this. The only way to settle it is let's roll. But not a lot of oaks will.
Yeah, but let's roll with a smile on our face as well.
Yeah, and you know, like, and like Chris Wilson, I jest with the dude. Me and him,
Yeah.
he started under me at my gym.
Yeah, Chris Wilson just he's seen some stuff here on Instagram.
Little rig, I'm scared to turn my phone on. But you know what I mean. Like this is this. You can nag oaks. You can bash them. You can talk shit to them. And it's all fun and games at the end of the day. It's the oaks that let it get to them and carry it around with them. And oh, there's that Jamie Gemmell. He's a fucking prick. He said this. I may be a fucking prick, but but at least call me out on it and let's roll and then walk away. And if I beat you or you beat me, let's walk away. Because at the end of the day, it's jiu-jitsu. It's a mock murdering grappling match. And if you're gonna hold a grudge with someone, come on, man. Like, we're all better than that. You know, except Chris Wilson, he's holding a big grudge. Jokes, little rig.
Yeah.
And also jokes to everyone that's friends with Chris Wilson. I don't dislike him.
It's a
I
prank.
just beat him. Yeah, and it's a prank.
I just beat him.
Bro, it's hard. It's very hard as a 30-year-old man to be getting texts from a 16, 17, however old he is during
You
the
should
week.
be studying for
Wa-
school.
Waking up like bro, I'm sure you have fucking matric midterms or whatever. He's like, I'm coming for you. I'm like, fuck. Okay, I guess I have to go training.
So when are you rolling them?
I don't know. Anytime. I saw the guys from Submission Quest at that Zero Jitsu comp, and they said they had some ideas, and I'm in whenever, bro.
Well, I reckon after this we're gonna have to get a couple of closed doors there in Ilova. I'll bring the camera. We'll
Let's
For
go, bro.
sure, mop
We-
the mats before Submission Quest next time. Really don't want staff again, please.
Yeah. Well,
Bro,
Look, you
why
guys
do you-
were in a wrestling academy. You know?
way to
That is true. No, I've
way
never-
to ruin a competition, boy, that's trying to do well. You're telling them that you're gonna get staff.
Okay,
there,
next
so.
time you host it at a wrestling club, please mop the mats.
Which wrestling club? Alberton.
yeah.
That was the one, yeah. I was undefeated in that hall until then.
Well,
sad.
you definitely fucking lost the battle in that all this time, boy.
Yes.
Lost
Yes,
the knee, fucking
Sad.
skin graft.
Lost the fight, lost his knee, got staff.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been worse.
But
Doctor's
let's also
right. It's a rough
for
patch.
sure bring.
Very difficult for it to be worse,
Bring
but it
some
could have been worse.
Silver linings, it's just a prank, bro. I'm sure that's all they're saying to you. It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank. But no, look, I'd love to do. I'm not a Gordon Ryan type of character naturally, but I'd love to do super fights and just fight and put on a show for these.
I
oaks.
love Gordon Ryan.
He's the best.
Well, I
bro.
just wanna point out the other elephants in the room that both of you are probably about this same weight class,
I'd
same
love to roll
same
Yeah.
division.
Love to.
They,
Love to.
the submission quest guys tuned, but we put this whole thing together so you and Jamie could fight each other in the finals. I was like, is that how you meant to be putting these things together? Like, I'm sure it's meant to be a competition where everyone like competes.
But what I like, and from experiencing that Angola pro card, like that's the type of stuff we need to have here. Like
Yeah.
they had blue belt girls, purple belt girls, blue belt guys, all the way up. I think they were the only match they didn't have was white belts, but hell's bells, it was an experience and it was cool to watch. And like 400 people on a Sunday night at like 9 o'clock, going crazy. It was
That's awesome.
it was one of the best jiu-jitsu competitions.
I reckon we could
experiences
get
ever.
about 4 people on a Sunday night.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, maybe Saturday's better.
Submission quest did well. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
we
know,
used-
I don't know
that
how
was
it could be.
stands pretty
But
packed.
that's what we need is getting these oaks, and those oaks are all.
Wait, hello.
The one thing I admired at the Angola thing was they had the headline match was the guy
Cats
from
and
GF team and from Z1 Mario Lopez. the two head coaches of those gyms. So not even their best black belts, the two coaches fighting. And the one guy tapped Kisi from GF team tapped the guy from Mario Lopez.
Did he get his gym afterwards?
Hey?
Did he get the gym
This
afterwards?
is Z1. This is Z1 gym now.
We're rolling for pink slips.
Yeah.
Need
but
for Speed meets Jiu-Jitsu, bro.
But there were two oaks that run two of the biggest gyms there fighting. You know what I mean? Leading from the front. And I think that's what we need to do is put our differences aside and put this fear of losing aside, bro. Just because you lose a match doesn't mean you're not a brown belt anymore, you're not a black belt or a blue belt or whatever. And I think that's the thing that I was trying to get to, is like, we need to put this fear of being shitty and of losing and you know, white belts, even against Manny, guys were saying like, oh bro, you know, good luck, and you know, you don't want to lose this. I was like, why don't I want to lose? Obviously I don't want to lose it, but if he beats me on the day, fucking credit to him, we'll run it back.
But that's
another
also
time.
people who don't understand jiu-jitsu say that, you know, like jiu-jitsu is like such a dynamic sport where like you can control 99% of the fight, but that 1% that you fucked up on is the 1% that he was good at, and he fucking exploited it,
Yeah.
and that was the end of it. I remember I was a purple belt at the time, and I rolled like a 4-stripe blue belt, and I controlled the entire match, and then got caught in a toe hold, and I was like, what the fuck, you know, like then everyone's like,
I remember you went and handed your purple belt and went back to white belt. I remember that.
Did you get one of them rope belts? Those
And
are
you're like,
popular
and
nowadays.
you have to listen to everyone. Like,
Yeah.
that was also the last time I fucking lost a jiu-jitsu match, because fuck, I can't go through that again. But anyway,
I just make sure he wins.
But I mean, it's you know, it's the same like in boxing. You get an Oku who like, look at okay, no, that's a terrible example. But you get an Oku who's maybe boxed his whole life, and he comes up against a dude who catches a lucky punch and knocks him out. Doesn't mean the guy's less of a boxer. And I think that's what we need to get to in grappling, is this whole like, because most of us are 9-to-5ers in this jiu-jitsu community, you know, but bar some of the fighters that dabble in jiu-jitsu. So we're not trying to steal. No one's taking money off anyone else's plate, or like, you know, I'm not stealing someone else's rent if I beat them in a competition.
And they don't take your stripes off if you lose.
Yeah,
They're like,
you
sorry,
know,
mate, you're gonna have to get that one back.
I'm still
yeah.
gonna have a job on Monday if a purple belt beats me on Saturday. It's not the end of the world. And this is the thing, like, you know, if and I'm sure some guys build it up for them, but fuck it, like, let's just roll.
I think Warren had a great point earlier, and it's something which related to me. When it comes to jiu-jitsu competition, like, obviously it's not for everybody, but it is fucking uncomfortable. I remember I played quite high level rugby, and I used to remember those nerves, but there were times I used to vomit like before we'd go out, you know what I mean? And you actually start, like, you miss that in a sense, but it's to be uncomfortable like that is good for you, bro. It's definitely good for you. It's good for your jiu-jitsu. It's good for your jiu-jitsu to see where you are and how realistic, like, you can apply that in like a real life situation. And it's also, I think it's good for you as a person to be fucking uncomfortable. There's people watching you, you know, like, you're vulnerable, you know what I mean? Like, the chance of you losing are fucking obviously there, and you will lose. You know, you play the game long enough, you will fucking lose. That's what happens, bro. You don't win every single fight. That's what happens. But, like, every time you lose, I think people have this misconception that you're going to lose, and like, everybody there's going to start laughing, bro. And it's actually the opposite. Everyone's going to kind of come up to you, like, give you a hug. You're like, fuck, dude, you know, it is what it is. It happens. Like, there was, you know, you made a mistake. Yeah, like, you've got to be open to the criticism. You've got to say, okay. Like, I remember after that, I can't remember who it was, like you or DJ, and they were like, it happens, bro.
It happens, yeah.
Your first comp, bro. Like, there's fucking the worst way to lose. You get guillotined off your fucking feet, bro, by a giant bald man. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's a cuck way to go, but it is what it is. Like, I wasn't fucking thinking about losing, but I was like, in the time, like, I knew how to fucking what to do, and I just couldn't apply it because of the nerves. You know what I'm saying? So
but people who understand it will be like, oh, it happens, bro.
Yeah.
People who don't understand it will be like, oh yeah, why the fuck did that happen? Like when I fought August, right? No one had ever taken August down. I fucking took him down, took him to the ground, held him down in half guard. No one had ever held August down, bro. I went for a leg lock, and I was fucking stupid. I left my foot there at the same time, and he caught me. It was like, everyone's like, oh yeah, but you meant to be a fucking brown belt. I was like, okay, but you forget that 90% of the grappling I controlled the entire time. I took him down. I was the first guy to ever fucking take him down, right? And I held him down there. He was like 2 weight categories higher than me, and then I made a mistake. Like, how does that define you? How does that those 5 seconds define
But
your ability.
That's the grappling logic. I mean, by that logic, I should be able to fight for the EFC because I beat Martin and all those oaks at that ADCC.
You're basically the
100%.
lightweight
I'm
champion.
the
bro.
lineal, whatever Martin was, I'm the lineal champion. But that's the grappling logic. It's like, you know, just be this.
Hey, Graham. Sign my boy up,
Hey,
bro.
I'm here. After all the Rio
Hands need a bit of work. Bro.
after all the Rio grappling guys want to fucking take me out and Chris Wilson.
You know, for once it's not us causing.
No, for you, motherfucker.
Nah, man, it's all fun and games, and this is the thing. Like, and that's like, fuck. If anyone's really gonna be upset over what some dude with the most stupidest mustache has to say on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night,
Yeah,
like,
right.
you know, like, come on, Oaks. Like, we need to laugh at ourselves more
100%,
in this
bro.
community. And like, Alan Cliff started it a while ago or a couple of years ago. That the big Joburg roll or the Great Joburg roll. I wish something like that would come back where. Oaks from all the gyms. It's at Art Suave this weekend. It's at 1610. It's at GBI. It's at GBS. It's at Apex. Whatever. And everyone puts their shit aside for the day, and we go and roll. Like that's where I'd like to see this.
The crazy
come
thing
back
is, I
to.
don't even think there is shit. I just think people just don't like
But guys,
going somewhere.
but also it's and I'm victim of it as well. I'd rather go to my own open mat than take the
yeah.
risk of going down the road to Apex or Sunning Hill or your place or fucking, you know. And it's that type of stuff. Like, you should say every 6 weeks there's the big open mat, or, you know, or even it doesn't have to
Or
be
do
a
it on a
collective
Sunday.
thing. Or like
In the street.
you can say to guys from your
neutral.
gym, you know, like, look, guys, I'm gonna go roll at Apex this weekend.
Well, yeah, we
Or-
actually have the Kif comes from Gracie Bar over, comes and rolls by us every now and again.
Mm.
Same as Donald, those guys. Well, everyone like.
You know,
Yep.
I think we need more of that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and just get the, because at the end of the day, we're all a bit loopy. We do a ridiculously silly martial art. I mean, I was driving up the highway the other night and I saw into my gym and it looks silly. It's Oaks in big cloth uniforms throwing each other on the floor, having the time of their life. We're all a bit crazy. It's a most magical, I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it saved my life on more than one occasion. And not out the mat, being on the mat and in the gym, and I think, like, we're all the same. You all have to be a bit fucking loopy to do this shit, and like, bro, I can't wait to show you this choke that I learned last night on YouTube. Like, you know, it's crazy. So there shouldn't be all this animosity and, like, you know, and like taking ourselves too seriously, because we're not. We're cult members
Yeah.
in essence.
Of the
Into-
giant cult.
Yeah.
So for back to animosity, who would you like to most fight this year? Like, because you had some big
Besides
names last
Chris-
year. You had
besides Chris
Lutando.
Wilson.
Yeah, you had Lutando. You had Martin. You had Chris.
You and Martin had a sick little fight.
Yeah,
that was a good
That was
fight.
probably my favorite fight of the year, because he's a specimen. He came at me. I think I'd love to run it back with Manny in proper rules. But honestly, dude, any rule set, any weight,
Come and get the
I don't really
smoke.
mind. You can come catch these hands. No, not hands. You can come catch my Perambola or patented Manimura system. But no, anyone. Like, there's no one on the list. Like I say, I'm fit. I'm healthy. I'm on a good wicket in terms of my rolling at the moment, and weight, size, gi, no gi, submission only, no time limit, IBJJF, UAE JJF. I'll roll anyone, anytime, any place.
When's your next comp?
I'm hoping to make it to trials at the end of the month, but I've got a wedding the day before, so I don't think I will. But then I'm gonna jump into that Victor grappling comp on the 7th,
Okay.
and I'm gonna just do everything that I can for the rest of the year.
So Victor's the alpha one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
7th of March, and I just competed.
Wait, what weight category? You're just asking for a friend.
I'll be under 75,
Yeah,
but
Chris,
I'll
Chris
fight.
goes
everyone.
there. Chris goes there.
Yeah. And then I know the Submission Quest guys, they're going to start their qualification series soon, and then I guess that one will be at the end of the year. But
You don't technically have to because of the belt thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
because I still have it. Yeah.
Just
I should have brought
just to end this show on a bombshell, I've been reposted by young Chris Wilson saying I'm keen for a rematch after World Pro in April.
I'm in, Lil Rig. I've told you I'm in. I will roll anyone, belt, weight, size, rule set. Let's go.
You know how I think it should be done, and I'm not taking credit for this. I heard Eddie Cummings talking about it. Right? It shouldn't be like a one match thing. I think you should have three matches.
An MMA
right?
fight. I see what you're
You
saying.
do the first
Ching
match.
chong
No, you do the first match. Afterwards, you go back. You can talk to your coaches and whatever, and you come back for a second one. and if it goes 1-1, then you do a third one to like tie break it. But if you go and you beat someone twice in a row, you fucking own them. Like there's no dispute, right?
Let's do
There's
this.
none of this like that was I made a small mistake.
Okay,
Let's make
How
a
about
rule.
a
If you beat Chris
BJJ
Wilson, he has to walk out holding your pocket.
No, you get to polish my belt.
Okay, how about this? How about MMA Republic does a jiu-jitsu event and we make that the headlining super fight?
I'm
Cool,
in.
bro.
Let
Which
me-
mat?
let me-
We're still on this topic.
Yeah, we can do it at Gracie Barry Lover.
Done.
Sorted.
Do it there. Just to note, I'm a big fan of Chris Wilson. I honestly, no.
Just to clear it up. And Rio Gladley.
Just to clear it up, I think that kid is going to be. If there's any kid that's going to crack it on the stage, world stage, it's going to be that kid. Fuck man, seeing him start and the level he's at now it's incredible. And I really think the dude just lifts and does jiu-jitsu. When I was his age, I was smoking dacha and fucking trying not to go to school. You know what I mean? This kid goes to school, lifts weights.
No, well, he's trying not to go to school except to turn to jiu-jitsu.
Well, I mean, his mum is a G as well, and I don't think she'd let him get away. But he is like, if there's a kid if he sticks with it properly after school, when he can devote all his time, man, that kid can go far. And
I think him, Luke Griffith, and Stan Lange.
That's the
I
future,
think
dude.
We will see some
I
mad
think
shit.
I think Luke's gone full time now. He
Yeah.
finished school last year.
Yeah,
Is
I
it?
think he lost
He's
his
full
stain
time?
and he's like, need up this game.
Yeah.
No, those three kids, of a sort of, I say kids, but
They're
like
fucking
teenage.
kids, dude.
No, they are, but those three are incredibly talented and gifted and hard workers. I mean, Chris used to train with us and always after class, staying, wanting to learn more, wanting to drill, extra sessions on a Sunday. And I see him on the gram and whatever, and hear through the amount of work he puts in at Apex, and he's a gent of a kid. He really is. I can only rib him for so long because eventually he's gonna get to a level where he'll surpass me. So I'm just gonna enjoy it for while I
Yeah.
can. That's
Own it while you can.
that.
I think that's a credit to like the development of jiu-jitsu in this country, in that previously we had guys that competed internationally, but they had to go and live in like in America or Hawaii, and they had to train over there, and then they could compete with the world's best. But you look at someone like Martino won the opening round of ADCC trials in Poland. Luke won the opening round of ADCC trials
Shame
in
he
Poland.
lost to, who was it?
Richie Lowe's won Gracie Worlds. He's won many international matches and that. And it's credit to like the development in this country that it's to a point where you can actually train in this country and compete internationally.
And like you look at Richie Lowe. Richie started I think a couple of weeks after I started, and he was 24 or whatever. Now you look at it, you look what he's accomplished in such a short time frame. Now you look at someone like Chris, he started at like 15 years old. I remember when he came into the gym, he was an awkward little tiny pipsqueak. He by the time he gets to 25, he will have done more grappling than most guys in the country.
Yeah.
That's 10 years of grappling for him at 25, which is crazy.
Who were we talking to the other day where they're like, oh, Luke's so good, overnight success. And we're like, hold on, he's actually been grappling longer than all of us. He's been grappling for like 12 years or something like that.
And it's...
And he's only 19 years old. Like,
So
it's
Shame
madness.
his second round at ADCC was Craig Jones.
What?
His second round, so he won his first one. His second round was Craig Jones.
Who, Martino?
No, Luke.
No. Craig qualified. Craig qualified.
There was someone he lost to.
No, he went to European trials because Africans have to go to European trials. Then he smashed the first guy, took his back, and the second guy was like a high level grappler.
No man, it was like a famous name.
Yeah, Google it. It wasn't Craig Jones. Craig Jones qualified because he fucking smashed Oaks and he beat Leandro Lowe. Just beating Leandro Lowe gets you invite to the next ADCC channel.
But I think with guys like that leading the next generation, because soon, my one of my ultimate goals, obviously, to get a black belt, but would be to have someone go from white belt to black belt underneath me. That would be like, I mean, that's the pinnacle right there. And it's kids like Luke and Stain and Chris, and even like if you look at little Mila and some of the other little kids that compete, those are the kids that if they can stick with it and make them names, those are the kids we'll be saying to our students in the future, like, Chris Wilson, that's the kid, like he's the name in South African grappling. Stain De Lange, Luke Griffith, those are the dudes that
100%,
you need
bro.
to, you don't need to model yourself on a Craig Jones or a Leandro Lowe. You're gonna have guys, tangible guys back home that you can look up to and aspire to be, and I think that's the next exciting chapter in the sport in this country, is seeing those kids tear shit up, and I think it's going to be quite cool to be a part of it and to witness it.
No, 100%.
Cool.
I think it's I think jiu-jitsu is moving in the right direction. We just need to get the competitive scene a little bit more diverse and not have to wait 6 months between key events.
Nice one, lads.
Yeah.
Guys,
Good
thank you very much for having me, and
Jamie,
everyone.
just slap your Tinder profile out there for the ladies.
to find me on Instagram and then DM, and then I'll give you my detail. I am James Boston on Instagram. Follow. I grapple and post shit about food and yoga. I love a good yoga session.
Do you go to that yoga spot across the road from your gym?
I've been, but my main one is Yoga Experience.
Okay.
If you ever want to, if you're in the Santon Rosebank area, Gracie Barrio, Lovo, come through. Guys, thank you for having me. Honored to be on the podcast again. I think we caused more shit.
Yeah. We're gonna keep it going,
if
bro.
I can just end it off, everyone, it's a prank. You might not like me, but I'm just joking. And also, if you still don't like me, you can roll me. I will never say no, and I'll back it up. And if you beat me, fuck it. You know what I'll do? I won't lose any sleep or tears over it. I'll just carry on. So,
100%.
that's where shot, dude. That was
Fantastic.
good fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Switch on.
Guys,
Thanks a lot.
powerful stuff.
Awesome.
Catch you later.
Sharp.
Peace.